Then. Welcome and thank you for joining this live show. If you're not watching this live, make sure to tune in the last 15 minutes so we can give you a little breakdown during the day here. Make sure to watch out if you're a part of the Patreon, which is down in the link in the description for those weekly ranges, because I might be posting a good little video come today or tomorrow once we get some CPI news. So be looking out for that. Matthew, good morning. How you doing? Wait, Matthew, I think I got a notification for something on PayPal for you. I was making sure everything was all right. I didn't want something to screw you over there or something like that. So, IWM here. Looking like it's making that move up. Remember, this one had the 30-minute divergence, 2-hour crossing up. Could go positive here. SPY looks like crossing up. Positive territory is really what you're looking for early on. Now, it's still a little bit interesting if we do see us come up to this area and react down. I think that would be really interesting. But let's kind of click through here, see what the keys are doing, seeing that curl up, see if we can go positive. Jeremiah, Donald, Camille, thank you for joining this morning. And Apple, actually, weirdly enough, Apple in pre-market was down towards 167.50-ish, right down in this level. So that's interesting going forward. So we'll have to see. If Apple bases out here, though, you got all the divergences. Look at all that coming down here. So you have all these divergences. The problem is, like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag. It's like Apple saying, hey, I need to bounce. Amazon Meta saying something different. Tesla saying, hey, I can still continue to bounce. DB Trades, good morning. Marina, good morning. But even the double bottom down here is showing up. So if you start to break through this high, we can see continued strength, which is just interesting. IAXN, interesting how Tesla's seeing looking like it could turn up on the daily scale still. Meanwhile, Amazon kind of telling you, hey, my momentum's dying up here, and this is what I'm talking about. This is how you know the momentum's dying. Look, every single kind of up push, just it pushes up for a little bit, and then you see that just kind of, it just doesn't make another strong move. Up push, it doesn't make, it's just kind of like a trickling up effect. Every time we get an up push, you see it fade almost every time within a couple hours. So I would just be a little bit worried about there. Look at Goog. Yeah, we're going to get to there. NVIDIA first. This one here, paying attention if we can make some kind of 30-minute divergence. Like Google put today's trade of the week. Let's go, dude. Let's go. I'll go look at Google here in a second. And Google was added to those risk ranges, just so you guys are aware, over on Patreon. But I just want to point out this here. Remember, something I was kind of pointing towards was like maybe a little divergence sets up. We can see momentum dying out. That way, if we get some good news, we know the momentum is ready to shift the other way. I think that would be interesting. AMD, similar story. Now, this can just, we can get another nothing day, honestly. We could just trickle sideways until we get some news. So that would be something I would look out for. Now, Meta here, looking like it's stayed in this area for quite some time. You do have a double top up here. If you're able to break through this low, I think this is where we need to break through. But you notice, hey, what are we doing? We beat down all the way to the center line. Now, if we get that crossing up, positivity could come. And the high's really close, so I suspect we're going to take out that high if we're able to curl up in positive territory right here. Microsoft, this one here, on the 30-minute, it's just kind of stuck in here, right? It doesn't seem like it wants to make a certain move. You can see this down here, left, head. If we come down, maybe we make some kind of right shoulder. I could see that to the downside. Now, one thing about Microsoft is the 2 hour is still positive, okay? So the momentum is still positive here. So until this crosses, right? Until this crosses on the MACD down here, it is still more likely to head up from here and create that divergence for you. So I would look out for that for Microsoft. That's why I was kind of interested to see if we see any upward moves today that get us to see some trade setups before tomorrow. That would be very good, and we'd be posting those to Patreon. Google, seeing another upward move. Oh, this is going to be a great entry point, guys. This is going to be fantastic for the 2 hour. I'd be pulling up my 30-minute right now looking for an entry because Google going like this, giving you that next point of divergence. You want to make sure that confirms in an environment like this, because if it just starts to do that, well, then that divergence might come in the future. But if it can curl over right here, okay, well, so what do we want to do when we see this? Look at a 30-minute. See if we're creating any kind of divergence. We are. As of right now, we're creating that divergence. So you could say if this 30-minute divergence does confirm, then we have a good probability this 2-hour will roll over. And what do I have there? I have like a quadruple divergence there. And then we know we have a daily divergence here as well. Google, very good setup here. Very good choice, Matthew. With the gap up at open, overall the price, gosh, is a little too high for its implied move. Yeah, you might have got a little beat up in the opening if you were taking the put side. I'm not necessarily in any calls. I do have a position on Amazon, which is one I don't know if we really looked. Yeah, we looked at it a little. I have the positions up here in Amazon right around these two levels right in here are where I started to scale in. So might add a little more. We'll have to see. And then I do have that TLT trade as well, and that thing's bouncing. So this 2-hour crosses on TLT. I honestly was putting out that video last night, giving you that idea. Just like if TLT has to push higher because of some kind of, attack, some kind of, we have to bring those yields down for war, right? To raise money for some kind of war by selling bonds and things like that. And then maybe they, we go burr and we buy those bonds ourselves to get some of that money. But overall, I'm just saying, like, if this goes up, that means the yields come down and inflation's still hot, but we have to bring the yields down. That is a very bad scenario. I don't think that would play out really, but I just wanted to bring it up just in case because we're in such a weird environment geopolitically and all that. What are your predictions for the CPI and the minutes tomorrow? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag, so it's hard to predict based off of anything here. I would just tell you TLT looks like it wants to bounce. TLT looks like it wants to bounce, right? It has all these divergences. The 10-year is hitting areas where we need to kind of see some resistance come in. Okay, so technicals on this, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. But here's some other stuff, right? Cup, handle, go up, retest, go up again. Big cup, handle. Like we're really seeing some decent structure here. So I'm just looking, if this crosses up, I'm going to say something about it. But right now we're starting to drop off, and TLT looks like it's like, hey, I can bounce here. What if we get some cooked numbers? What if we get some cooked numbers, guys? I'm just saying. I mean, we all know it's the CPI. Real inflation is horrible. That's why they don't put the worst things in the data. But if this wants to bounce, break through this, that would mean the yields are coming down, which would mean CPI tomorrow is most likely good. Or if CPI comes in tame, and then the Fed, projects some kind of cut soon, that would be interesting. But they haven't talked about projecting a cut really. They just keep saying, by the end of 2024, we'll cut some. So you want to pay attention to what they say, but I would be leaning towards, at least from a momentum perspective, you're talking about divergence, daily divergences and things. So the probability of this switching trend is pretty high right now. So that would tell me CPI is most likely good news for the market, meaning CPI comes in lower and we get those rates to drop off. Now, with all of that analysis, does that do us any good? Not necessarily. We can take a position, right? Pretty good position here. I'm up on my trade, so I'm not, I get in right here. I use the 30-minute to find that position. I get in on it, and now I see the 2-hour curl up. I can hold this, and we can see what that data is tomorrow. If that data comes in hot, I'm going to have to immediately react, right? We have to react. We have to be willing to flip the script at all times. But right now, TLT, seeing this bounce up here, that's telling you, hey, the yields are coming down. So maybe we're actually going to see some kind of good thing happen with it, or is this some kind of beat down that then just curls us right back up using that 4.362 as some support there? So really, it's just we can't get above. If you get above this level, we're going to experience some bank failures. That's really how I see it. This was like our warning flag. This is our. I played soccer. This is a yellow card. This is a red card, in my opinion. Now, what we can pay attention to for volatility, right? Volatility coming back into the market. First of all, 2-hour curling up is always a good sign. The TLT going up, bad for the market. Well, if it's a flight to safety, it is bad for the market. But technically, TLT going up can be a good sign if it's just a reaction to, say, CPI or something like that. Hey, Matthew going hard today. I like it. Yeah, Georgie. So if TLT goes up, the yields come down. And if those yields are coming down, that's most likely going to be with good CPI data, right? If we get bad CPI data, then these are going to go up. And most likely the market would react to that and start to break down. So that's just what I would say. I think if we get a good CPI print, you're going to see the 10-year fall, right? That's not the craziest assessment in the world. And then we're most likely going to see a pop higher in stocks. That's why we just want to pay attention to like what the SPY is actually doing today. Is it going to extreme high levels? Okay, well then what if we end the day up here and then CPI comes out bad? What if we end the day up here, CPI comes out kind of bad, and then FOMC gives us some kind of cut and we get the left head and right shoulder? So I'm open to a lot of different scenarios at this point. Looks like a nice day trade. 1920 retest back up to 1950, 30-minute MACD crossing back up. Yeah, we can take a look at that one real quick. Walgreens has been beat down for a little bit here. Looks like you're probably gonna. Ooh, yeah. This chart just looks ugly though. Okay. So if I see a trend like this on the daily, below getting rejected from the 200 over and over, I'm probably not playing the call side at all. I'm probably looking for some kind of pullback to play the other way, right? So if you just notice here, where could we have, possibly taken some quick trades, right? Some quick trades and a downward move. Very, very good, right? So let's go all the way back to these big drops where you could have made big money, right? We go up towards the center line, right? Maybe I don't play this one because it's not very close to the center line, but this one we go up towards that center line. We see that divergence down here, so we get a little bit bigger of a bounce, but it fails. Right when that fails, boom, there's my trigger. We're going to see further downside. Boom, take that down. Guess what? We build up towards that center line again. Oh, it fails. Boom, take that down. Okay, we get up. Oh, we go positive this time. So this time you would say we went positive at the center line. We drop down. We go positive at the center line. Now we're in a negative trend again. So at this point, you're in a negative trend again. So what do? Well, we beat up, we go a little above the center line, we cross down, right? So we see this, we cross down. All right, maybe there's my entry, or maybe I even wait till it goes negative right here. Boom, that, you'd catch a little trade here. Center line crosses, boom, goes down to here. So that's what I'm saying, you're below the 200. So for Walgreens here, you would just say, hey, well, pretty much anytime I see this flagging, which is what it's doing right now, getting close to the center line, most likely I can just boom, wait for that to cross, find some entry point in there, maybe on a 30-minute. Yeah, with the trend is a lot easier, right? So that's why we're talking about upside for a lot of stocks, because it's still daily positive trend. Yeah, they're very well might, and that's why in last night's video I actually was talking about downside here. I thought that this would be kind of probable to do something like that. That way you're in an area where you can pick up a lot of buyers, right? Look at this area here. Such good liquidity in this area. So if we did this, that would have been awesome for a trader, because 30-minute, we would have got a divergence right here. We could have got an entry point. CPI is good. TLT is telling you from a momentum perspective that CPI is going to be good. I just want to point that out. I'm not saying it can't be bad. I'm still going to react on the data. But as of right now, TLT is telling me, yeah, we're going to see these yields pull back for some reason. From a momentum standpoint, it's saying these yields need to pull back. So that would just tell me, well, what's the next piece of data? We have CPI, FOMC. So one of those two events might pull us back. Yeah, with the trends a lot easier. You're right. I counter trend trade a lot and need to adjust. And you can do that just when, I would say, if volatility is a little bit higher. So if we experience a time where we see some kind of drop in the market and then volatility goes towards 16, and then you want to, play some 30-minute divergence on a bounce, you will have a very good move from those. And it'll be a quick little trade for you, right? So that's what I would say, but volatility is starting to turn up a little bit. Yeah, we can go look at the data real quick if you guys would like. Let me pull it up. Let me see what's actually supposed to happen with it here. Yeah, so overall CPI here, right? The core inflation rate month over month is supposed to come in at 0.3. So if we just come in at 0.3, you'll see a good reaction. annual overall with this one, if it comes in at 0.3, I would say even 0.4, you might see those yields drop off a little bit. So that would be my good news. Great news is you beat consensus, which I don't think that's going to happen, but but we have to see. I don't know, so I have to wait for those numbers. The TLT would tell me, hey, this number is going to come in good in some way, which means probably 0.4 or 0.3. Core inflation rate year over year, 3.7. So that would tell me this needs to come in at 3.8 or 3.7 or below 3.7. That would be very good news for the market. Inflation rate month over month. You pretty much just want these either coming in with the previous or coming in at or below what's expected. If that happens, we can see a reaction. Now, if this comes in at, say, 0.5 and we see those yields go up for a moment, what if the FOMC comes out in their statement and they say, yeah, we're still in control, we're seeing a slight uptick, but that's going to roll over, or they're just going to blame it on the war and things like that. So fishy time. Want to just react based on price action, and that's kind of what I'm doing, right? With this, I'm saying I trust my technicals. I'm taking this trade. That's what I'm saying, because we're in an environment where Apple looks like it needs to bounce while Amazon and Meta look like they need to correct, while Tesla is bouncing but looks like it might want to turn back down. There's a lot of different things going on. So I'm just going with the method of I'm going to trust my technicals. And this looks like TLT looks like the best trade in my opinion. And then the next best one I would say at this point actually would be Google. Right, Google, you have a 2-hour, you have a 30-minute, you have a daily divert, you have all of those things on Google. That is a very good sign momentum's dying out. We might see this pull down. But what if this still trickles higher and then the next day we get bad PPI, right? So PPI, the previous was 0.6. Remember, this came in very, very high. So 0.3, 0.4. What if this comes in at 0.6, 0.7? That would be very bad. Initial jobless claims, right? So all these things can mess up the market. Then we have consumer sentiment. We have a bunch of Fed speakers and things like that. So there's a lot that could happen this week. So I'm going to be on my toes and just trusting my technicals. So on Amazon, I'm trusting my technicals. I'm saying, hey, the momentum looks dead here. I have multiple entry points in this move right here. So I'm entering in. Okay, cool. Now I'm in there. If I start to break above this again, I'll probably be out, and then I will get back in once this move is finished. And then the other one that I think it looks good that I'm taking is TLT to the upside, and that thing's playing out right now, 30-minute, about to go positive possibly. So that's overall what I would say with these. VIX, though, curling up on the 30-minute. Just want to point out, if we get some kind of pullback, right, look for that to cross back down. It is in negative territory pretty deep at this point, so we can build up to that center line and cross back over. Build up to the center line, cross back over. Let's go look at the SPY for a moment, right? Look at the SPY. It gave up the initial gain. Now are we going to cross to the downside? That's the interesting part, right? Take out the stops up here. Boom, take out the stops. Get people to buy calls. Now we take out the stops the other way at these lows. See what happens. That would bring a lot of pain to the market. A lot of pain. Salutations, Gabo. Jeremiah, I hope that was... I know it's kind of long and drawn out. I hope that was helpful. Someday I saw my gold position a bit early. I saw gold was gapping up. Remember we were talking about the Newmont mining several weeks ago? What a move for miners. Yeah, I heard a lot of people getting back into miners lately. That sounds kind of creepy when you say it like that, but we're talking about stocks, guys. So this one here, you do have the momentum dying out. The overall likelihood for gold is we are going to see this drop back off. Okay, so right now you have to say in gold is peaking. Gold is at extreme levels at inflation expectations, right? So the inflation is expected to be really bad. TLT is showing you it looks like the yields are going to pull back because TLT is going to pop. Those are two things right there that are saying CPI is most likely good tomorrow, or we're going to get some kind of good news tomorrow that pulls back the yield. Now, the other thing that could happen is what if it isn't a good news that causes those yields to drop? And that's what I was bringing up in my video last night. What if the news is some kind of war starting or something like that? I still, I mean, the thing with SQQQ is I think you need to be trading it like water. If I saw this 2 hour cross up, right, I would probably be thinking, hey, there's maybe another move here. You don't want to fight against the bullishness, especially on a 3x leveraged one. So if this started to go positive, if we got a good CPI, I would get out. I would look for this, go like this, 2 hour divergence, I'm back in. And then I would go look at the Qs and just buy at that point. And I'm just being genuine. That's how I do it with SQQQ. I am out, I am back in. I am out, I am back in. Because you don't want to get held up in that decay over time. And then when you make money on it, you just really want it to be a little quick. Real night and day difference when analyzing trades. Thank you. Hey, JS Boyd took the course. Really enjoyed your course. A real night and day difference when analyzing trades. Thank you. And I hope I really hope it helps. So that is awesome. I am very, very happy to hear that. And if you guys want to take that course, if anyone's interested, it's down in the description. But I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. MU. I was looking at this yesterday, and it looks like it wants to die out, but it keeps curling up. Positive territory. You have a chance here for this to go positive. I would just say that 2 hour rolls up. Positive territory. Maybe you even want to get in a quicker position, right? Hourly curls up. Look where it is, right by the center line. Boom, you get that trigger. It starts to head higher. So solid trade looking here. Just gotta be like, look at the last few bars. A lot of momentum dying out. I would say maybe there's a couple more positive days out of this before it tries to correct or pull back. Oh yeah, we haven't looked at the Dow too much either, and the Dow is behaving a little differently. Right, Dow's behaving a little differently. Look at the Dow; it's crossing through the 50 at this point, telling you it wants to head lower. Remember, we were pointing out on the Dow these divergences up here, right? All the divergences across all this is telling you the momentum's dead. But JS Boyd took the course, and he knows that the point where we should really pay attention is when it gets closer to negative territory and makes that divergence. Well, we're at that right now. If it wants to see another positive move, guess where we'd be? Even closer to negative territory if we create that divergence. So this is a point to pay attention. You're losing a lot of moving averages. You cross the 5, and now the 5's actually crossing the 50 today if you see some negativity. So I'm not saying CPI can't be bad. I just want to trust my technicals right now. Another wonderful day, Frank. Yeah, you haven't seen TLT look this good pretty much since we bought it back at 82.50, right? That was the level I paid attention to. Remember, we were talking about 82.50 like here, like around this level. We were like, if this drops off, 82.50 looks great. We found that support level, and guess what? We touched it one day. My buy got triggered, and then boom, starts to go up from there. So I'm still holding that long term because I know that they're going to cut at some point. But right now looks like a good point because it looks so good. You have divergence on the MACD. You have flatness of the RSI, which is also coiling up a little bit, right? We're going like that. We're going like this. We're getting tight. A big move is coming. You're in a falling wedge. You have divergences on a 2 hour. You have divergences on a 30-minute. Just looks kind of crazy. Manufacturer wars are horrible. I am 100% in with that one. That's why I didn't want... who's the chick that was going to run for president? Nikki Haley. I didn't want her as president because she's a warmonger. She's war hungry. Her husband works in war equipment. She wants war because her family makes money. I'm not for that at all. I'm not for war, but I am for people protecting their home. So WDC. I don't think I've looked at that much, so take it with a grain of salt. The daily scale here, you're seeing that drop off pretty good. No, you have divergence across the RSI. And so to point this out, like the MACD is a lagging effect, right? So actually the RSI is a little bit quicker, just so you do know. The RSI is just a little bit quicker than the MACD. So just pay attention to that, but you do have triple divergence here on the RSI. I would pay attention to every triple divergence. This could be an overall bigger correction down to the 50 because you don't have it on the MACD at the same time. But since it is triple divergence, we could see that kind of reverse the trend. So we really want to pay attention if the MACD can go negative at some point, but we do have earnings and things like that as well. So pay attention to that. But just wanted to show you triple divergence on the daily. Looks like some weakness here. Maybe it needs to retest the 20 or the 50 before heading higher. That's what I would pay attention to. Maybe we could look at a 2-hour. You're noticing, oh yeah, you have triple divergence in the near price action and another divergence over here. So on the 2-hour, it's telling you my momentum is dead and I need to go find some buyers a little bit lower. That's what this is telling you. Wonder if you could find an entry point. Well, we probably got divergence all across the 30-minute for you to find an entry point here. If we turn up, you did confirm one of those divergences here. Look how close we are to the center line. All you have to do, see if that goes negative. If this starts to go negative, well, you already had an entry point. So if this starts to go negative, you know you can hold it. Look for that 2-hour to roll over. See if that goes negative as well, John. That's what I would say for this one. Yeah, that's overall how I would do it. Now, if I were you, you could do things like figure out how to find the implied volatility. You could, create those ranges. Look early on in the week. Maybe this was outside of its range, and you had a good chance to take a trade up here. Like water, let's go. Like I said, I think this has a good chance of rolling over. On the NASDAQ, I don't necessarily mess with the NASDAQ too often. I'm going to do this, actually. I'm going to do this. I like the US 100 over here. I like the futures, if I ever find it. So with this, something kind of cool is I like to do a 2-hour chart because you can kind of see before the day opens if that's able to actually roll over, confirm a little lower, right? You see we're in a range. Then we see that kind of fall off. I just think we have a good shot to head lower for everything today. But if that wants to head up before CPI, we might see some bad news. It's like I said, it's hard to say because everything looks like it kind of wants to trickle up again. But if you just do that, well, Amazon needs a correction. A bunch of stuff needs and maybe Bitcoin's an indicator. If this starts to roll up right now, it's retesting. We can take this with a grain of salt and say if this starts to go up in the aftermarket today, maybe that's a good thing. I'm in BITI, the biddy. Exxon, this is one that's, it's the inflation trade. This is great, by the way. Like this was just insane how good this is. The funny part is you actually had a divergence down here to get into all this. Okay, you actually had a divergence, your entry point right around here, right around $100, now up to 121. So that's pretty cool. Betting that inflation, like we were going to see these energy stuff run because inflation was going to come back. Man, I should have called that thing. Man, I should have called that damn thing. I should have called that thing because, like, I kept saying inflation was going to come back, and I never mentioned energy too much. Oh, baby girl's awake and crying. SMCI, let's just check on that real quick. Remember, this was coming down into a point we were paying attention. Very important line there, 903.11. See if we can hold up there. Remember, this is kind of the support, and then real gold is the thing, right? If you're just trading it right now, it's looking like it might take a pullback, but real gold can hold some good value. I'm gonna say bye to the girls real quick. And we're back. China is reducing the amount. Okay, hold on. Let me sit in my chair. All right. How's it going this morning, guys? I just got back. The girls just went over to Abuela's house, so make sure to like this video for the girls, right? SMCI looks a little like a Head and Shoulders. Yeah, it doesn't look the most positive right now, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't mess with NVIDIA just because until I see this 2-hour curl up, I'm not even thinking of touching NVIDIA, right? So now you're seeing a 30-minute divergence. So that's the other thing too. It's like, well, why is NVIDIA going to see a 30-minute divergence if we see some traction today? We can head upward. So it's just, there's a lot of things that could lead to some upside, but you know, NVIDIA does have room to the downside here. Don't take that off the table. It's there. Yeah, NVIDIA, it's just there's ones that potentially have good trade setups compared to NVIDIA, like TLT. It looks pretty good. Just buy calls on overpriced nonsense, get rewarded, and people who see it for... Well, it's just because, and this is it, Tactical Ted, and we talked about this with one stock earlier, right? It's in a positive trend, right? So when you're in a positive trend, it's a lot easier to just take calls. It is. You got to think about it, right? When were we... I don't know. Let's go look at the SPY. Let's see. We were overbought here. Let's say we're overbought here. We have divergence. We know a pullback's coming, right? But let's just say I'm not trading tactically, and I say, okay, I'm going to take calls here. Well, if I would have taken calls for 2 months, it would have been up. It would have been up here, right? So it's hard, and everyone wants to catch the downfall because, well, the downfall looks like it's going to be pretty juicy. It looks like we have to at least drop, you know, down to 500, 507, maybe something like that. So it looks like the downfall could be juicy, but just note that we're in the month of April. We're still in the middle of the range at this point. You can look at the top side range, these yellow lines here. We're still in the middle. For the week, we're still in the middle. There's no reason to really be bearish here. You're above all the moving averages. So if this curls up, we can see another push higher. Maybe we want to see that for a few days, and then we see that drop off in the future, right? You have to be open to that just because you're in a positive trend. Now, I still have my opinion, right? I think that we are coming to a point where momentum is just dead. We are. But if this 2-hour just keeps curling up and going positive, then people are still going to be taking calls. But just to show you in a positive trend how, you know, if you're just dumb with it and stick to the positive trend, even if I knew nothing about technicals, I can make money, right? I can take calls here for 2 months. Boom, I make money on those calls. Now, the other thing is, we're learning. We're learning to trade this market a little bit better, a little bit more technical. So we see a beat down like this. We see that 2-hour cross back up. Now our entry's here when their entry was here. That's all we had to do. Cross up here with a 2-hour. Boom, boom, boom. See an ABC. Good move there. You made more money than this guy. That's the benefit of technical analysis, right? Is we see the positive trend. Some people would be like, oh, it's got to go positive here and get shaken out. We know, hey, once I see a pullback and see that curl back up, it's a positive trend, so most likely I'm going to take out that high. Now, it was around, the reason I was worried about this in the past, and I've talked about this a long time ago, was we didn't consolidate here very much, like we didn't get some kind of pullback here. I thought that this move was going to come. I just wanted more structure in the overall move, right? When we came up to this level, I wanted us to back off, test that 200, take back the 50, right? Go to like this, test the 50, then go like this and start to ride up like that. I think that would have been a little healthier than what we're at now. Netflix, we can look at Netflix real quick. But I'm just showing you how, like, tactically we know based on technicals, this is a positive trend. It's in positive territory. It's a strong move. So we can just trade a 2-hour up throughout all of this and you'll do pretty well for yourself. Netflix, let's go look at that real quick. That's starting to drop off. Remember, this looks like Meta. This looks like Amazon. The momentum here is just fading so hard right here that it's very hard. You're starting to taper off, right? So now you have a trend like this going across. So you tapered off a little bit. it means you're teetering. You're starting to look like you could fall down. Price is getting real tight. Something big is about to happen. And this is where I think it's weird because you would expect that to be CPI is bad for the stock market if something bad is going to happen. But TLT looks like it's going to pop, which means maybe Netflix goes like this for a few days in earnings. Maybe earnings is the thing, right? So earnings is what, Thursday, April 18th. So if we see that positivity come in, what if that just fails there? Look for the SMACD to cross up positive territory. Let's go to Tesla real quick. Tesla positive move again. Remember that positivity. Now, what are we looking for with Tesla? Well, we're looking for some kind of 2-hour divergence at this point if we keep seeing strength. What can we look for really, really soon? A 30-minute, we can look at our weekly ranges over on Patreon, right? We can look at our weekly ranges over on Patreon, see we're well outside of it at that point. So this is where I said it's weird again, right? It looks like we need a reason to drop from here or consolidate. We have divergence forming, not confirmed yet. So, we have to take that with a grain of salt. But as of right now, you'd say, hey, this is all the options market expected for Tesla this early on in the week. This is a good looking setup if we can roll back down. Okay, if we can roll back down, that means the momentum died out outside of that weekly range. We're most likely going to head towards the middle of the range again. So I would pay attention to that. But this is the one that had double bottom and things like that right now, right? We had double bottom, 2-hour going positive. That means the daily is going to be some positive price action here. So if this thing keeps going higher, we could see a very bullish move here because now we're outside of that weekly range. The Bollinger Bands are tight. It's just interesting because the 30-minute and the weekly range is telling you this is as high as Tesla should go. So it might have some bad news. What could that be? CPI. But TLT is telling you that's going to be good news. So maybe Tesla gets a huge move upward. I'd be careful shorting Tesla is all I would say. It doesn't look like the best trade setup from a risk to reward standpoint because you have a lot of risk even both ways, right? So if I'm saying it's going to go down, CPI is good, that thing just goes ballistic outside of the range. Okay, cool. But calls, if I take calls here, well, what if this divergence means something? What if CPI is bad and that drops really dramatically? That's why it's like, this doesn't look like the best setup. TLT looks like the best setup right now, to be totally honest. Oh, AMD, this one here, we're looking for that 30-minute crossover for some kind of divergence, right? We're building towards that center line. What do? Well, we build towards the center line, we drop off. We build towards the center line, we drop. Boom, negative territory. Now we're building towards the center line, consolidating. Boom, negative territory. We see a little bit lower price action. That's what I would kind of look out for. And then I just would pay attention to my bottom side weekly expected move. It's about 10 points lower. Could we move 10 points? We very well could. So we come all the way down into like 160 or something like that. And then we see some kind of divergence. That's what I would pay attention to. But you need that to happen like today. If it happens tomorrow, you'd say maybe FOMC saves the market. Good morning, Naveed. Tesla bounced nice after fake out on false article. Yeah, I saw that false article or whatever it was, which is just it's crazy how many times Tesla moves on false articles. Remember Hertz? Remember the Hertz deal that happened 3 different times and then didn't happen 3 different times? I wonder if it pushes up now. Trapped calls both ways. Yeah, what happened here is I think they took out the stops for the short side. And now maybe they go down, take out the short, take out the calls from the upside here, right? You might have a bunch of calls with stops right here, maybe stops right here. So if we start to break through these levels, let's see what happens. I still think this has a good chance of happening, but if we just get a nothing day and move sideways, that would put you. That would suck for my video tonight because guess what? 30 minutes right in the middle, just hovering there. You'd say it could go up or it could go down. The only hint we're getting is TLT. Probably never. Probably never. Thank you, Gordon. Probably never. Another sideways day, and it makes sense. It really does. One thing you can look at probably just what volatility is doing before, high yield growth, what that's doing before, seeing that push higher. That means smart money is in. It means smart money is buying here. Why would they be buying today if tomorrow's going to be such bad news? Just a little hint here. Why would TLT be going up if this is going to be such bad news with the CPI? You know, we are seeing sideways price action. We're seeing some up and down moves, right? But overall, if things are moving sideways, one thing that's not moving sideways, TLT popping. Apple has that double bottom now, right? So you have a double bottom down in this area. You also have a bunch of divergences. It actually looks really good. This looks really good. This looks like a great trade. I still want to keep my like a shorts position just in case, but it's like Amazon's one that I still have it on. I just want to see if that 30-minute rolls above here, but it's just the momentum is dying so fast. Like I'm just thinking to myself, like how, and that's the trend, right? The trend's your friend to the end type deal. But as of right now, you're like the momentum here is so dead. It is insane. And Apple looks like it's going to pop with the double bottom, but TLT looks like it's going to pop, causing the yields to come down. So why would Amazon go higher still? Well, it very well can. Maybe it blows off to the upside, but this just looks very weak. But Apple looks like the better trade. Apple looks like a great trade, guys. That crossing, going positive. Want to see where my weekly expected move is for this guy. About 175, so it can come all the way up to here, and it would make sense by end of the week. Isn't that crazy? So it's like Apple could recover all the way up to 175. Maybe 174 is better, but if Apple wants to go up from here, the structure I would like is to do something like this, right? Get some kind of boom, 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 and then start to head up from there. So it's just like, which technicals do I trust? Do I trust the fact that Amazon is dying out, or do I take the trade that looks really good? And that you'd have to say that Apple looks really good. Maybe I'll just hedge with volatility today if I see something set up. I don't know. Meta's bleeding as well. Nvidia falling straight down. The thing with Nvidia is, watch out. 30-minute divergence is what I'm looking for here. Like, this is not surprising to me whatsoever. And if we're going to continue going lower, we're going to break through 841. First of all, that's going to happen. But Nvidia flushing here. Be aware, divergence is forming at this point. So make sure that that is confirming, but I'm just telling you. I think if you can be patient in this market, you can keep catching shorts, and that's pretty that's relatively true. But this Amazon just holding higher. Meta, someone mentioned Meta starting to drop down. It's close to that center line though. We could just see another push higher. Tesla outside of its range. This is where the weakness can come in. But you notice the actual Qs haven't seen that weakness come in. Google making a move higher. There's just so many different things happening across the board here. But TLT's still telling us that most likely these yields are heading down. Take it with a grain of salt, though. We don't know the info that's coming out tomorrow, so we have to pay attention to the actual info. Oh, Palo Alto. I need to. I'm gonna do that this weekend. I gotta organize this for the stream. Whoo, Palo Alto. Look at that reaction from our little buy zone. Look at that. Okay, so you're crossing up on the MACD here. A very positive thing for Palo Alto. This thing's been beat down for a while now. And you've got some 2-hour divergence right here. I don't have weekly ranges for this, but look at that zone coming in handy. Touching right there. Boom. We see a big move up so far. Almost 13 points there. Yeah, so apparently small caps are still lagging behind, right? So small caps are still lagging behind as far as like hitting new all-time highs and things like that. So you'd say small caps is probably the play right now, to be totally honest. And IWM told you this, right? We even mentioned it multiple times on the stream. 2-hour crossing up, going positive soon. But 30-minute divergence giving you a double bottom down here. Good entry point. Look for some consolidation maybe to go test a point to grab some buyers. But other than that, you're going positive. The momentum, the MACD has not crossed over anything. So you'd have to say the momentum is to the upside. It's telling you that right before a big event. But I would, like I said, we've seen oil, gold, everything hold higher. I mean, if it might be the fact that CPI is going to come in hot, but we know those numbers are cooked. So I'm going to trust my technicals on TLT. It likes to get it right, and I've traded Apple for a long time, so I'm gonna trust Apple on this one and hope it doesn't hurt me. You know what I mean? 530 up 80 cents in the last month. Ever got is oil inflation in CPI or PPI or both? We'll have to look at that. I mean, the thing is, over the last 10 years, they've even in the last 10 years been taking stuff out. So literally, if you want to see what's actually in the CPI report and stuff like that, all right, yeah, oil apparently, fuel oil, propane, kerosene, firewood, all in the CPI. So it's still in there. I know, like, they've taken stuff out. Food and energy. So if you didn't know, food and energy in 1995 was taken out of the CPI report. What are the... Well, it says food and energy removed from CPI. It says it was 1995, but we know that oil's still in it. We just looked that up. Additional to food and energy from the overall CPI. So at least this right here says refined its analysis of inflation by adopting a separate definition of core inflation. It excludes used cars in addition to food and energy from the overall CPI. So I'll have to do some more in-depth. Maybe I'll look at that before making my video tonight. But they just take they whenever something goes bad, they take it out of the CPI. It's so fishy. I don't know if Nvidia's on a deal today. I don't know what that means. Yeah, and you would say that's what I used to do. I would look at oil, and you're right. You can do something like this. You can look at oil, and you can like look at the previous month. So we would say, March 1st, where were we at? Well, March 1st we were here, and by the end of March, where were we at? Well, March 28th. March 28th was the last day here. We were up at 83. There was an increase here. What up, capture this? That would be to the call side based on the momentum there. Now it's below the 200, right? So it's kind of like take Apple with a grain of salt. It's below the 200. That's a good point, JR. And Junior's here. Good morning. So if you really wanted to say the more probable thing is Amazon would drop than Apple getting a big bounce here just because it's below its 200. So it's a negative trend, but you're noticing, hey, one thing about this MACD on the daily, it never crossed over. So technically the momentum is still good here, right? Even though we're seeing this fall down, the momentum is supposedly good here at this level. So we could see that cross back up. Divergence, right? Remember the RSI, not the lagging indicator. The RSI, a little less laggy. See an upward move. Google is falling. I see it's up 1%. This here, the divergence, what you want to pay attention to. You have a divergence in the near price action as well. Gosh, it is such a weird market out there, Tony. It is weird. Meta is falling. That thing is falling off. I want to see if that's breaking below that double top up there. That thing is dropping. All right, this is what the moment of truth. Let's watch Meta for a second, see if we see a bounce around this area. Look at some 5-minute stuff here for a little bit, have some fun. Oof. My self-image. Yeah, it's very strange. You have a lot of stocks that look like they need to head down, but it looks like TLT is going to pop up, which would mean the yields need to come down, which would mean CPI is going to be good. So right now you have a difference between TLT and the SPY. Volatility is starting to spike. Yeah, and the way you can keep yourself from getting overly bearish. I know sometimes my videos seem very bearish, but we always talk about positive side. We're in a positive trend. Now, I think we're coming to a point here in April where that's going to change. We could go into some negative trends, right? We've seen some stocks start to go into negative trends. So I think our assessment is good here that we're starting to carve out that top. I think, most likely it is April, we're going to see some kind of topping out. Is that going to be just a correction, some kind of pullback in order to head higher all the way into election time? We'll have to see. Maybe we just go sideways and see some up and down price movement for a few months here, and then we break to the upside. And then after the election, maybe people get freaked out and the stock market tanks if Trump gets in or something like that. But yeah, and there is still strength like across the board on Google. When you look at the higher stuff, you'd have to say, damn, that is positive. But you'd have to say, I mean, it looks like some kind of pullback needs to happen, right? Needs to happen. Seeing a huge run like this, you went up, from the bottom here all the way to this one here. You went up 20% in a month, and your only pullback was you didn't even get a full test of the 20 at that point. So I would just say now you're at this level. So what if we just pulled back to the 20? And that's when I'd be a little more confident. I'd even say, what if we do something like this and then we see that roll back up, get an entry point right there? That's what I would be looking for as maybe an investor or something like that. Trading goes, we look at those shorter time frames. Is this going to hell? We'll have to see. We'll have to see if that rapture is happening. NVIDIA is falling. NVIDIA, remember this thing coming down into our point. This is that important number right now. You're experiencing it right now. That's the number we want to hold above, in my opinion. In my opinion, I think that's the most important level. Look at that buying coming in right at that level. Google will go to 161. See if that's plausible. Yeah, I could see that. I think if it goes to 161 this week, I would be a little cautious. We have some earnings on Friday, guys. I think we get bank earnings on Friday too. Like today should be like almost our last boring day, if you will. And then tomorrow everything starts to get insane. Right now, Google going to 161. As of right now, not very probable. you'd need this 30-minute to kind of maybe pull back down, get close to that center line, right? So do this and then pop up. But if you get good news from CPI, boom, that thing can just pop. That thing can pop. You'd really like to see this consolidate today and then make a move higher soon. I don't know exactly where. I know where I would pay attention to Google would be if this 30-minute crosses, well, you have a big divergence across here. So you could take an entry there. And then if CPI is good news, you get out. Look for another divergence up here. Triple divergence would be nice. But like I said, that's where this market's confusing. TLT looks like it wants to jump. It's jumping. It's jumping. It's pumping. In 2017, everyone was a professional trader. LOL. Hey, nice job, Tony. Every day was almost up. But that's kind of what I'm saying about how you can keep things pretty simple in a positive market, positive trend. Literally, if you just go look at, I don't know, even NVIDIA, and you just traded every time the 2-hour was at the center line, you see that cross up, and you took like a call for a month out, you'd have made money like in the next 3 days, and then you'd be out, and then you'd look for the next one, do it again. So it's just much more simple. That's where swing trading comes in. So let me know if you guys are interested. I mean, I just think we're going to go into a more complex market than a market that you can actually swing trade. You can swing trade the way down, little bit different, a little bit more difficult, I would say, to catch those on the way down, swing trade wise. But as you're above the 200, swing trading's great. So maybe I'll have to make like a little course or something like that. Not Trump getting 11 in 2017, the market went tank. Oh, I gotcha. What do we think about Tesla? Tesla looks good, man. Like, Tesla looks good, but this is where a 30-minute divergence might kill you. You're outside of the weekly expected move, and that's where it's, again, very interesting market behavior. Very, very interesting. You have divergence, flatness of the MACD, flat or down on the RSI at the same time. So you'd have to say, this going negative is probable, but what if we just, do this and get some kind of A, B, C move, and then we see that just keep going up with all those divergences? So by TLT going up, TLT and the 10-year are like inversely correlated. So when the TLT goes up or the 10-year goes down, TLT goes up. So 10-year goes up, TLT goes down. 10-year goes down, TLT goes up. So what are you noticing? TLT is up, 10-year is down. So that would just tell me, I'm just telling you that the bond market, at least from the TLT perspective here, has some divergence, not triple divergence, has some divergence down here on the daily scale. What do we notice in the near price action? We have a triple divergence down here on the 2-hour. What do we notice in the 30-minute? Well, we have a 30-minute divergence as well. So the reason that TLT would go up here and the yields here would actually continue to head down, pushing this higher, is if CPI came out good. So all of the momentum signals here are telling you that CPI might actually be good news tomorrow. But like I said, we don't know 100%. So you have to, take your trade and then be ready with your stops, be ready to flip the script. You have to be very adaptable in a market like this. If CPI comes out bad, TLT is going to drop off, right? And we're going to see another push higher in the 10-year yield if CPI is bad. But if CPI comes out as good, TLT might pop off and the 10-year yield might drop off dramatically. Yeah, I saw the VIX spiking, and this is where we might want to see NVIDIA, if that's able to hold up where it's at. See that breaking through there, that's what you do not want. I don't think you want this to break through that level. Your kind of last line in the sand is pretty much where you're at right now, which actually lines up with some stuff, guys. Okay, so NVIDIA is getting down towards the bottom side of its weekly move very early on here. It is only Tuesday, and we're there right now. So we just went down right up to it. Right, just like $1 more and we would have hit it. And then boom, we're seeing this buy back up. So this area right here, very important. You're going to have like some flat divergences down here close to positive territory. This is what I'm saying. NVIDIA looks like it could pop tomorrow too. According to what the options market expects, according to the momentum here, it looks like that momentum could shift at this point. But as this is just even, you have to say, what if this is just some kind of pullback, right? So that's what I would overall be paying attention to. We broke through some trend here. We could get head and shoulders up here, right? Left, head, make a right shoulder, right? You see the left, we have the head. What if we come up and make a right shoulder at that point? Maybe earnings on Friday, bunch of bank earnings, maybe that ruins it for people. The weekly expected move, just so you have NVIDIA here, 833, 35. 841 is the important level. 840, right? We talked about 840. I went and marked off 841.46. That's a pretty important level. But guess what? We want to go down to where that the options market expects, which is about 833 something, right? So we come down to that level. Just see if we're able to start closing below this and not buy back by end of day. We see wicks below this level, right? We've seen wicks below it. We've seen a wick below it, but we've held above it multiple times now, right? We test it. So this is another moment where you can wick below it, take out some stops, get people really bearish, say this is breaking, and then that just reverses right back around and traps people. It kind of does. And like I said, I just follow technicals for the most part, but I mean, it could just be people trying to get out before CPI. I don't know if anyone can see any news for that, though. I hope it does turn around. I'm in at that level, says Douglas, and that's the point too. You want to see where it's coming down into. Look at this. It's coming outside of the Bollingers. You did get that crossing down, right? We got the crossing of this, so we test bottom Bollinger. Now we may go retest that level before we drop. Let's pay attention to that. If we end up dropping further, look out for the 50. But as of right now, this would be a great place to base out and head up for even a few days, you guys. This could continue, right? So we could see this turn back around, or we get some kind of lower high. Kind of leaning towards lower high. I don't know if those earnings will be very good on Friday. That might scare some people. But will that just scare them out of banks and then NVIDIA sees a pump with that or something? How long can Meta go? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's nuts. Now, how low can it go? Pay attention to those weekly ranges. That's where having the Patreon is beneficial. So bottom range, are we even close to it? No. Right, we have a little bit of room down. But I would say this about Meta, okay? If we're going to see a positive move here, you're most likely going to see some kind of buy up around this level to keep you near that center line or move sideways or something like that. But you're starting to break through here. So you have to think of, if you were a trader, what would you say? Oh, double top. Okay, this is my trigger. Okay, let's see if we break down. What if we just end up right here by end of day? These people are trapped now with their puts. So this here, it's like you want to take the trade up here with that crossing down. Remember the 15-minute divergence up here. Take that here. Now you see that play out. That's really what I would pay attention to, right? This playing out, but we'll have to see. A lot of stuff adding up to a bounce throughout the rest of the week, so that's interesting. SPY heading down. Remember what we told you to look out for here? What about a 30-minute divergence? 30-minute divergence. That would be interesting. Outside the daily, we come outside the daily for a moment, get that double bottom down here, then we see that trickle back up into that 68% zone, right? We have a 68% chance to land right here. Let's go look at the Qs. They might do the same thing. What if the Qs hold up a little bit higher? That would be a solid thing. IWM, what if it does this, right? We talked about it pulling back to grab those buyers. Left head, maybe something like this is going on. Boom, boom, and boom. That could be happening. But I want to pay attention because we're starting to lose some stuff here. Just so you know, this is some flushing going on here. We're starting to lose the 20. We're starting to lose the 5. This is not a good sign on the daily side. But now it's like, now you have to add up other things. What if CPI is bad and then in a few days we get good earnings from banks? Like, that would be interesting. But everything we've talked about and lean towards is actually happening as of right now. Seeing that drop off, Now we get some kind of double bottom with some divergence down here, close to positive territory. Let's just see what happens, folks. Yeah, Tesla getting a reaction there. Apple's starting to reverse down as well. So it's like, hey, this was looking like a good trade. Maybe you want to draw some stuff up, see if it's just some kind of retest or something like that. We have multiple points touched on this bad boy, pretty good. What if it's just retesting right now? You can see the wedge here. Probably like that right there. Boom, you got the wedge. We broke out to the upside, retest. Maybe we go a little bit higher here first. And then we'll pay attention, see if that 2 hour can go positive. And the other thing is, it's like smart money is technically in, right? Smart money's still going in, still green on HYG, still green on TLT. So that's something to pay attention to. And something we can see with the VIX, not necessarily on the 30-minute, maybe like an hourly, see that cross up. What if we come up to this point, create that divergence by end of day? That would be very, very interesting. And Google, yeah, it's coming into that red. It's going red. A lot of stuff going red at this point. Going red, like I said just a few minutes ago, if you want this to go higher, right, we talked about 161. Well, you need this to sell off a little bit. Most likely to go higher. AMD starting to cross down, but notice this one's not as weak. It doesn't want to drop down as low. It's been beat down. If it drops lower, right, we drop below 162. That's going to be worrisome. So maybe it wants to hold up in this area. Excuse me. Bitcoin's red as well. Bitcoin, I thought this was going to be some kind of retest, but it's really, really starting to drop off here. I like 2 hour for this, but if this 2 hour can really just roll back up, that would make sense. But as of right now, you'd say, hey, what if this is false breakout? Because it's not seeing extreme strength, getting the retest and then reacting. It's retesting a little deeper. Maybe it wanted to go grab some buyers in this area to go higher. But as of right now, that's not looking too pretty. Doge down 6%. Oh, God. Coin. So we can look at coin. 30-minute. Look at this. Creating some divergences down here. Maybe we get a triple bottom and that starts to go the other way. We'll have to see what happens with that. SMCI dropping down a little bit lower, maybe creating some kind of divergence here, but 903 is a very important level to keep. And thank you, Nazanin, for subscribing. Appreciate you. But yeah, a little divergence down here forming for SMCI. Don't have ranges for that one. Mara, bunch of divergences on the 30-minute down here. Looks like it might pop to the upside. So that's where it's just like kind of a bunch of different stuff looking very, very different in the overall market. Meta really starting to sell off here. Amazon even starting to sell off a little bit here. Apple not able to break through this low just yet. Yeah, still positive for the 15-minute. About to see a positive trend maybe. Jumping on the puts train twice time to high five the mirror. Nice, that's what I'm talking about. You guys see how if you follow the technicals and you react, it's good. Like, right, this cross down in negative territory position, play the downward move, play that daily expected move. Look at that. Boom, comes down below it for a second. You're out. You're like, this is all the options market expected. I'm out. And boom, you get to make some money today. Maybe we even get some kind of higher low at this area, right? Higher lows in here. And volatility is spiking. We're seeing not a ton of puts come into the market, but volatility just spiking higher. I think an hourly divergence here would make sense. We actually go test this trend. We go this, we drop off for a little bit. Then maybe we come back in strong after a good CPI report with bank earnings. And they're talking about how inflation is a problem and these yields being high is a problem and all that good stuff. Like, that would be bad. But that's just what we're keeping in mind, right? It's good to play some stuff in your head, but make sure to actually take your trades based on the price action, right? That's the important part. Dog is right under me, and it is just very difficult to sit right now. God, dude. He just loves me too much. And yeah, you see the steepness. Look at the 1 hour too. This is something I was looking at. Triple divergence across the 1 hour between all these lows. You tapered off. You create a double bottom. Like, it really looks like TLT wants to pop. So that just tells me a little bit, hey, maybe this is going to be a sell the news event. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Which I know this means this is coming down. I mean, this was buy the rumor. So we go up with the 10-year. And then the news sells because we get good CPI or something like that. Dollar's starting to catch a bid. I think this on the 2 hour, I was watching some divergence here. So we could see the dollar start to pop off again right here. This is the type of stuff you see. This is where it's so interesting. The dollar has 2 hour divergence. Looks like it wants to pop for a little bit. But TLT looks like it wants to pop, meaning the yields are going to come down. But Amazon and Meta look like they need to drop. And then Apple and Tesla are looking like they're going to bounce and keep being strong. So it's just very mixed bag. That's why I'm just trading the ones that I see as good. Like, it looks good on the technical side. I'm just going to trust my technicals for the most part here. Apple being one of them, TLT being the other. They both look very good. And then Amazon to the downside as like a hedge right now because this positive move could push us higher. Rageflation. Nvidia, will it go lower? Actually, I'd expect it to bounce from this level. From this level right here. It's an important level, right? You can see the times we've used it as support multiple times. Now you're going to have gap support as well at where we're at right now. You have the weekly expected move. This is pretty much as far down as Nvidia is supposed to go. I think it's like $1 more down, you would have hit the weekly expected move. The weekly expected move is literally right here, just below it. So this is all the options market expects for Nvidia on a Tuesday. So this is where you want to pay attention. But if we break through that with some bad news, we will flush. Like, flush, dude. You're going to be negative gamma. You're going to be getting the algorithms to kick in. You're going to be closing below the 20. Like, it would not be good. Now make sure you're waiting. This 2 hour does need to confirm. If it cuts below this low, I'm probably out of this one. Not going to play around today. How's everyone else's trades looking? Good? Bad? Still deciding? Sitting on your hands? What are we doing? I sold Nvidia puts early, lost 2,000 of profit could have made. Hey, that's okay. We all make mistakes. We make mistakes. You never know. Next time that whatever reason you sold, maybe it was because of your analysis or something like that. What if you're right next time? You know what I mean? So as long as you're following your technicals and trying to be as risk averse as possible, that's very, very good. Good and waiting. Good job, Edward. Well done. Decide whether to take Meta profit right now. Meta, one thing you can pay attention to, it's most likely heading to its weekly expected move. We've seen a few things head to its weekly expected moves. So I'd say, I mean, it depends on how much profit you're in. You're going to have a gap right here that could hold as support. Your weekly expected move is just a little bit lower. This is a good area to start thinking that. The take profit thinking right here as your expected move is right here. You're right by it. So this is where I would think about taking it, just in case I get any kind of reaction in this little area here. Even if it chops below, I don't care if I could have made an extra $1,000 or whatever here. I just made the right play here. Now I can take that to the upside. If it curls back up, that's very important. 2 hour just now curled down, so that is oof. But weekly expected move right here, 68% chance that we're landing in this area. So you don't want this to just go sideways the rest of the week and then you don't make as much money. I think it's good. If you did good on this, you got a good entry, you take out this area here, you can react down. I think this is a good area to think about that stuff. That's how I use weekly ranges a lot of the time as some profit taking tool as well. Nvidia just still has a thick red bar. My goodness. And you notice on the daily how bad that kind of looks, right? If you just look back, it's like, wow, we haven't had that kind of look in a long time. So You just still have the 50 there as well, but 833, I think we hit it. Did we just hit it? Did we hit it? Let me see the low here. Yeah, we hit the weekly expected move. So now you just want to say like, hey, I don't want to break down below that weekly expected move. We literally just touched it. So we don't want to break too far below that. We want to buy up most likely by end of day, but this is all the options market priced in for NVIDIA. So the more probable move from here is we see some kind of flagging, we see some kind of bounce from this area. If we're going to see something crazy happen, bad CPI, crazy thing, we're going to lose this level and use it as resistance and just start heading lower. So big moment for NVIDIA right here, big moment. Yeah, QQQ is down at its weekly as well, right? Or the SPY was down at its weekly. Look at that right there. Remember, we talked about this 30-minute divergence. We literally talked about this. This is what I saw as the most likely thing to take place and good for a trader as well. And that's playing out. So now I can look for upside, actually, because we're outside the daily. So what if this is too quick of a move and we see a positive reaction? That can happen. NVIDIA's hitting a downside of its weekly expected move. Meta's about to hit its weekly expected move. What else has dropped kind of dramatically? Is there anything else that's dropped dramatically that I have ranges for? Not necessarily. Microsoft, I don't think you want to turn over on a 2-hour. Ooh, that doesn't look good. This is kind of the recipe to break this wedge. Can we get Amazon there? Man, I freaking wish. I wish we could. You'll have to see. This thing's been so bullish. It's still so wonky and weird. I would just say be confident in it. Be confident in your technicals. Amazon can pull back, right? But TLT, it's just a weird market. I think this show will end very soon. I keep saying April, we're going to find some kind of top. Whether that leads to correction and then we go up in the future, we'll see. But it's looking like a top. And right now we have a recipe for kind of disaster out there. 8:30, about to stop out. And like I said, just be ready because this is where we would actually experience a bounce. What if we just fill this gap and then bounce? By end of day. Now we're outside of the weekly expected move on a Tuesday morning. You have a lot of time left. Probability is that 68% chance we go up like this. Literally, there's a 68% chance you bounce from anywhere underneath here. But remember, now that can escalate if we get bad news tomorrow. So pay attention to if it's bad or good CPI news. Let me see what time that stuff comes out real quick. Okay, so we might have to be on a little bit earlier tomorrow. I'll try to be on a little bit earlier. Did CPI get leaked? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this is people trying to get out of positions, most likely before that data is actually released, which, if that is happening, that is usually a little bit of a sign as well that CPI might be good news. So just going to keep saying it. The probability is now, in my opinion, CPI might be good news, which is kind of crazy to say. Crazy to say. Can't believe it, but that's what the technicals are telling me. Ooh, Palantir. And I gotta look at some stuff real quick. No, Douglas, don't get stopped out. This one here, 2-hour curl over negative territory. We can see this start to bust down, right? Well, the thing here is too, head and shoulders. Head and shoulders, what do? You break that. You're testing this whole neckline down in here again. If that rolls over, that's not going to be good news. 2029 is what I got marked off there. Do you think that a bad CPI, so a bad CPI meaning higher? Yeah, that's what's up, Steve. That's what I like to hear. Do you think a bad CPI would lead to a flight to safety Don't they expect inflation to go up? Yes, they do expect inflation to go up. But I'm just telling you what the technicals are telling me. I expect inflation to go up, but I still trade based on technicals. I don't trade based on what I think. I trade based on what's in front of me. And right now, TLT looks like it's going to bounce. It looks like 10-year might pull back as of this week. So that would tell me maybe CPI is actually good news. Do you think a bad CPI? Okay, this is what I was reading. Do you think a bad CPI would lead to flight to safety stocks like the big tech stocks? Big tech stocks are not safety stocks. If CPI is high, then most likely you're still going to see gold head higher. You might even see Bitcoin head higher as some kind of hedge. And then you might even see silver. Silver is a great one. Oil could start to head higher too if we get a bad print. Anything like that could happen. It looks like they need to pull back. Look at options change on Friday close. Looking and copper. Ooh, copper. Yes, copper. Smack that like button. Why is there only 18? There's only 18 likes. Guys, that hurts my feelings. No. All right, Lurkin. If you look at options chain on a Friday close and look 4 weeks out, is that also viable 4-week expected move, or is it mainly reliable for weekly? You can use monthly, but you want to create that at the beginning of each month. That's how I like to do it. If you wanted to, you could technically create a 4-week expected move, 4 weeks from like Friday. Like if you waited till the weekend, you could make a month out from Friday. You could do that. It's just you might confuse yourself a little. Okay, 48. That's better. No, you're good. You're good. Yo, I forgot to hit the thumbs up. No, I'm just playing. So yeah, Palantir, if this rolls over, that's not a good sign. That's what I would just say about Palantir. That could head lower. So that's interesting. Like I said, it's like every individual stock looks a little bit different. There's some that look similar to each other, but nothing looks the same across the board, right? So look at this. I mean, Apple looks like Tesla. It's just Tesla already got its bounce. Apple didn't. And then Amazon looks like Meta, but Meta's starting to drop off and Amazon's not. So you kind of just got to try to play the individual names the best you can. Oh, we haven't looked at Intel, actually. Surprising we haven't looked at Intel yet. Whoa, okay. Remember what we were talking about negative trends below the 200? Look at this guy. Wait, did it go below the 200? There it goes, below the 200. So now what can we do? What can we do here? Well, we can see if we hold below that 200, build up towards that center line, and boom, there's your trigger, right? So we see if we can build up towards that center line. Sometimes if you're lucky, you'll get something like this in price action, and you'll get a 30-minute divergence like this in negative territory for the 2-hour to cross over below the 200. That is a great trade setup. It's almost like trading a bear market before it's a bear market for Intel here. Not looking pretty, though. This looks really bad. You're losing the 200, and you're just riding that 5-day down. I mean, this doesn't even have anything really to catch a bounce. I mean, unless we find some kind of liquidity zone in here. Earnings in 2 weeks. Yeah, maybe that drops off all the way for earnings. Here's the other thing, too. What if this buys up before earnings with good CPI? And we buy up, and then boom, earnings comes out. That's gone. It probably will soon. I don't think Nvidia drops more. I think Nvidia bounces. I've said that multiple times now. I mean, I just think that this level of 841 is really important. We went and tested the weekly expected move. We're starting to see some buying pressure from there, just a little bit. So great insight. You have PayPal or Venmo. There's a donation link in the description for PayPal. And I appreciate all the donations, guys. More Pando. Thank you so much. You've been making some good trades. I'm glad you're out there trading like water. Range is up. 5-13 looking likely on the SPY. I think, yeah, if you come down to this level, the only problem is this was your test outside of it. Look what happened. We came outside of it. Now we're back in. So a bounce from this level is likely. And look at that. Don't you love our hey, smash that like button if you love these daily expected moves, because would you just look at it? Would you look at that? Just look at it. Oh god, daily expected moves are great, aren't they? God, they're just so awesome. Man, in Nvidia, man, weekly expected moves are great. Man. But you know, we still gotta pay attention. CPI, FOMC, boom, can break down. So you think that will bounce? Well, the options market's saying you have a 68% chance to stay above this level, so a bounce from here is very likely. Look at Meta. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, Meta. Remember? Who was it? Did you take profit? Do you think it will bounce? Do you think the Dow will bounce? The Dow I don't have expected moves for. I'd assume so. Look at this. Divergence at the low here. This is kind of what I said the SPY would do. Come test that level, get a divergence for a double bottom. So you don't want to be too quick with it, right? If you wanted to take a position here, I would keep a very tight stop loss. But look at this. 30-minute curls up. Where would you be? Positive territory. What does that mean? Positive trend. Ed Basemaster. Oh, Corey. Look at that. And look, Meta still, or I'm sorry, Amazon still not breaking down. God damn. Meta's been very good to us. It almost came down to its weekly. Its weekly is like right around here. So it needed a few more points. But whenever you get towards it, that's where I just say, hey, take profit and kit. You don't want to play it every single time. But this could just flag out or something. But what do we say? If we lose this level, what would they do? They want to take out the stops for the calls. They want to convince people this is a double top. And thank you so much, Tittle Spark, for the subscription. Appreciate you. They want to take out this level, take out the stops to all the calls, right? And then they take out this level, convince you, hey, this is going to break down, buy all your shorts, and then, oh god, they just ripped your shorts off. And not in a cool way. When I see a bounce off that daily expected move, I just want to look at it. 90% chance NVIDIA to 851. I don't know about that. I can't give exact. I mean, the ones you can is really when that happens. I can go based on my trading strategies and the back test of what kind of chances I got. But to say 91% chance, I hope you have some kind of analysis behind that. But a good shot we actually do bounce, though. You're right. Where would we go to? Well, let's see. This point here. Oh, yeah, 851. Okay, you're right. This point here looks very, very good. 851.84, like right at these, you see the resistance in this little box. This little zone here, we almost should draw up. That's going to be an important zone to break through. So if we can do this, that would be very, very good. You don't really have that divergence down here anymore, though. Green Day, no need to get cute. 851 for today. I can't tell you if it's going to get there, right? I'm just saying that would be a good level for it to test, right? 851 looks pretty good. It's been a support a couple times. Tell you there's likelihood for a bounce. How high that goes? Well, that's very dependent on the data tomorrow. You're still in a positive trend. The 2 hour can roll up, right? And then if that goes positive, it can be a good sign. So I still think you got a shot to test the topside weekly expected move even this week. Possible sell-off? Let's go. Let's look. Oh, damn it. Fucking Amazon. Amazon is holding at higher levels, guys. It's consolidating again. Look at how wonky this thing is. It's still just holding at higher levels. Look at this, 30-minute. If it crosses up on that MACD, it's good news. I think this needs to really go gain some buyers. I would have liked it to dip down like this and then go. But if it just holds up here and stays flat, we get good news. It's going to go higher. Yeah, I mean, that is what the technicals are kind of telling you. I would just say pay attention. Maybe the better trade to take is Apple, but that's not. I'm not gonna really say which one's fully better. I'm just saying because neither one is going to be better. You're just following the technicals. But I would just say if you read into it a little bit, well, if TLT is going to bounce, that most likely means these yields are going to drop off, right, even harder for some reason. And if that happens, that would mean possibly good CPI or good news from the Fed cutting rates or something. It's either that or we're going to go into a war and then those rates are going to be forced to come down. And then we might actually experience some kind of a crash there. So we'll pay attention. But I think Apple looks like a good trade. Amazon, it totally makes sense. You're in a positive trend. So you might want to take that with a month out expiration in case you need to get out so you don't lose much or you want to add to it later. And then the other one, TLT, it just looks like a great trade. So I'm going to take the two that look like great trades. That's what I'm doing. What happened to NVIDIA? Nobody knows what NVIDIA's doing. Nobody knows but Jesus, aka Elon Musk. No. I mean, I don't know why this sell-off is happening, but I knew that I was leaning towards it coming to that bottom side weekly expected move before CPI. And I said, if it comes to that bottom side weekly expected move before CPI, I think there's a high probability of us going up and seeing a good CPI report. Remember a week ago when I put in my video, if you guys were watching on YouTube, every night, I was saying, hey, CPI could be very bad. But then over the next couple days, I see everyone saying CPI could be bad. Everyone's saying CPI could be bad. And then we see all the stocks that are moving based on CPI being bad are going like that. So now I go, all right, CPI might be good because everyone's saying it's bad and we've already seen these reactions. Is Apple holding support as of right now? Yeah. As of right now, yeah, you still have that double bottom in play here. You've held this level very, very well. You've curled up. If this can go positive here on the 30-minute, that would be a good indication. If the 2-hour can curl up, there's your full confirmation right there. So we're going to the moon after the CPI report. It's possible. You also have the possibility of CPI going higher and gold continuing to go higher. You have that possibility. I don't know what the CPI report is. If you knew what the CPI report was going to say, you better tell us, Nancy. I hope there's a Nancy in the chat. That'd be awesome. But I'm just saying, nobody knows what it's going to be. I'm just telling you what the bond market is kind of telling you is we are buying right now. We are buying. We are pushing the yields down. So that's just something you can probably read into and say, normally, I would say this. Normally, if TLT, if these bond traders, they have no idea why or what the number is going to be, or they have no assessment to what it's going to be, TLT does this. It just goes flat like this for like days. Now, what would you say? Are we flat? No, we actually came down dramatically. That means they think CPI is going to be hot, but now they're starting to think, wait, maybe we're wrong about this. But you see that confirmed, right? Confirmed. It confirms in 20 minutes. Think about what you think about JB. Just balls. Jensen got assassinated. A whale bear orchestrated a hit. Jensen assassinated his own stock, guys. You guys know that, right? You guys know that he's sold like a shitload of NVIDIA stock over the last month. You guys know this, right? We've said it like in like 6 different YouTube videos. If TLT and Apple hit, I'll join Patreon. I'll probably join anyway. Love your content. Hey, thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. DB Trades is trying to egg you on into going. Think about what you think about Joe Biden. Okay, is that Joe Spine One or Spin One Master? Are you trying to talk like Joe Biden? Because you sound like Joe Biden with that. No. Oh God. A year from now, I think. I think at some point Nvidia goes down to $500, $300, or $100 within the next 1 to 3 years. And then I think once a bunch of stuff gets kicked out of the system AI wise, kind of like the .com bubble, we actually figure out who's going to lead the AI charge. I think Nvidia is a good candidate. He said that dumb as a rock. Is that me? Wait, did I say that? Oh man, am I stupid? Man, guys, I'm trying to think about what I think about Joe Biden. I'm just thinking about what I think about him. Sorry. But yeah, Nvidia, you'd say if we go through a deflationary event, some kind of correction or something like that, 500 looks likely, and then maybe we go up from there till the end of the year, and maybe next year we're higher. But if we experience some kind of crash, I suspect Nvidia will go down towards 290. I believe it's 290. Let me actually pull it up. My levels I'm paying attention to for that. Oh, sorry. So the correction levels I'm paying attention to would be pretty much at the 200 here, 570. I think if we don't go through a full-on crash, but we just head a lot lower with some kind of big correction, which probably is a crash at that point, right? That's a crash for NVIDIA. I think this area here would be good to accumulate. Look at that. People found it very valuable in this area. If we're going to experience a full-on crash where everything goes to hell, yeah, I would say we're probably heading back down to... Oh, where was it? I can't believe I didn't mark it off. Actually, let me look for 2020. Actually, yeah, we could head down to like 150. But I'm not leaning towards that. I think this area here, 375 to 490, 459 looks very, very good for a chance to accumulate, take some upside. I'm sorry. Joe said that. He said, think about what you think about. You know what's funny? Wait, Kamala's not any better. What's that one video where she's like, so the importance of time is important because time is something that we find as very important in relation to ourself with time. And I'm just like, this is like when you're in third grade, you're writing your first essay and you need to like figure out how to fill up the page. What's up, Ken? How's that job going, my man? Patreon is only $7 a month. It's worth it just for those weekly ranges alone. Yeah, and then I try to put up trade setups. I just try to do that when it's very, very likely. You guys knew yesterday we were given that trade setup for TLT, and look what happened with TLT today. Boom, we get a big upward move. Solid little trade setup there. Power, not enough power. The only reason, Douglas, I'm saying, and Alan, what up? You sound like Kamala. That was the point. My last week of my old job, excited. Congratulations, Ken. We're all happy for you, my man. DB trades. Yeah, I took a call on TLT yesterday based on the Patreon up 22%. There you go. And we can be comfortable. We can move stops up. We can say, oh, if it comes below this level, we'll stop out. If we curl back up, that's perfectly fine. We can be back into it. But boom, set your stop there. The next day, it gaps up. All right, new stop. Boom, breaks below there. Make your money. Good stuff. I like it. But Douglas, what I was going to say was I don't think NVIDIA is going to go extremely down because it is a bad stock or because the crash itself, it's going to lose value, all that kind of stuff. I don't think that. I think it will go down because this whole market is up on credit, and that's pretty much what I believe all NVIDIA is at this point, is all credit. I think that NVIDIA is probably half of the price of NVIDIA. Say it's at $1,000. I think 50% of that is all credit. I don't think that's real money, and I think that that's going to really disrupt NVIDIA's price point, and then that might cause more selling in the regular value of it. So once it gets rid of that credit, then I would say, okay, now we can head a little bit higher, and I believe that area would be somewhere between 500 and 300. I took the TLT trade. I like anime. Did you like it? That's a good trade. Yeah, I 60% agree with that idea. I thought that as it ripped up. Yeah, so, and you have to see that just because we've talked about this before. There's literally people that take out credit cards and then they go take a cash out at a friggin' Quick Trip and then buy at $500 worth of Bitcoin, $500 worth of Tesla, $500 worth of Nvidia. So, and then you have to think all those people are going to lose all that money. That's actually where the money gets sucked out. So the money they've created will stay in the system. It'll just go into the pocket of the market makers and the rich people. Be ready to buy SQQQ, timing that right, and you can retire. Very, very true. And something we can pay attention to is, and I actually, Spin One Master, I know you did some work here. What do you think about TLT seeing this big upward move before CPI? Isn't it interesting to you that some bond traders seeing some value here starting to go up while the market is going down at this moment? And then we're seeing that bounce, and we're seeing a lot of stuff hit their daily expected moves for bounces, right? We saw that. We saw Nvidia go to its daily or weekly expected move. We get that. It really looks like we're going to get a good CPI. We're going to get a good reaction over the next couple of days. Maybe that's because of CPI. That's what I'm thinking. But I think after that happens, we have bank earnings right after, dude. Time UVXY and you can really retire. Yeah, if you time that thing right. Oh, God, yeah, you can. That thing sometimes 20 times. Safe haven and bonds too. Okay, so that's one thing as well. So that's one thing I was trying to bring up yesterday was just like, what if something bad happens with the war escalating and then we need to, maybe they start buying or producing a bunch of these TLTs and then the United States buys it. I don't know, maybe that would happen. Thanks for your 11s. You're welcome, Robert. Ooh, safe haven. Not a good sign, but it's going to bring down those yields. Solid move, though. Good stuff. Whoa, wait a second. Oh, there it goes. Sure. Good. Lucas, thank you so much. I love your name, and thank you for the coffee money. $10 from Lucas, guys. Big claps. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you. Market is mostly in consolidation. Sorry, I left you guys on that TLT for a little bit. That got a little boring. And that's very well true at this point. And one thing you might look at is where's that 20, right? We're still up above that 20. Oh, no, we're below it at this point. I really think you just don't want this 5 to cross through. I think tomorrow we have to see a positive move here. We might head down to the 50, come down to this area down here. 506.53, what we'll really pay attention to for the entire month. Thank you, Lurkin Luke. Like gold, bonds are sniffing out trouble. Yeah. Gold really going higher. The thing that I'm worried about with gold is if there is some kind of good CPI print, this thing might sell off pretty well there. Remember, this is the hedge for that inflation, and if inflation's not in the report, they might be convinced. But we know that real inflation is insane. It costs what? I think it cost, we've seen a 40% increase in all groceries across the board in the last 4 years. 40% up in 4 years. So if you spend $100, you bought X amount of things, now you have to spend $140 or $150 to get that same amount of stuff. Kind of crazy. All right, guys, I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. Be right back. Keep asking Spine One Master questions. He's here today, and we have a lot of questions. So like this weekend, should I do a gambling stream and not really gamble, but pull up a roulette thing and show you guys my roulette strategies? Got some good ones. You know, one time I did that crypto trading, and I back in the day when I was doing the comedy stream, I just like did some crypto. I did that VPN thing where you like gamble online or whatever with crypto, and I turned, I think I turned $400 into like 9 grand with my strategy. And then I'm gonna tell you something. This is why it's like the trend is your friend until the end. I had like 9 grand from 400 in like a month. And then one day a crazy thing happened and I lost like half of it. +1 for gambling stream. Yeah, we wouldn't do real stuff. We just talk about strategies, guys. We don't want to encourage anything too awful. Oil dropping off here. Interesting. Bitcoin rejecting the cross on the daily here. That's kind of huge. Huge. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be May. ChatGPT won't assist me in counting cards. Counting cards is so hard now, though, I've heard. I know the ropes. Oh, God. Dude, I love going. Oh, no, Lucas, you saying... Oh, God. Shit. Should we make t-shirts that say, no singing, just trading? Then I'd remember. Sorry, Robert. I know. I don't know who let me do it, but someone let me have fun for a second, you guys. You're not supposed to let me have fun. Come on. Yeah. YouTube's gonna give me the demonetization. Yeah, by the way, guys, if you weren't here when I sang that one song for like 15 seconds, just like random stuff, I'm pretty sure I didn't even sing the right words. I just sang the tone. My whole video was gone. It was just like, nope. Nope, not allowed. So now Justin Timberlake is about to take my $5 or $2 that I make from streaming. Kind of long. I haven't looked at that. SOLV. You said this is similar to Triple M? Yeah, the only worrisome part is you got nothing going on as far as price action, so it's hard to do. I mean, if you wanted to, usually it's volatile if it just started. So maybe a 15, maybe a 15. I don't like to trade stuff like this because look, there's no history of price action to go off of. I'm just gonna tell you right now, look for something in a positive trend, see if it's curling up on the 2-hour. Look at that. It's like, look at Nvidia. If this thing curls up and goes positive, we're probably gonna see a big price jump in Nvidia, and then you just have to see, does that curl over the daily? Well, the daily, what's it in? Positive territory. If the daily here crosses over, maybe we go up all the way until earnings, all the way until May. Very well can happen. Yeah, I got some stocks for free. Hey, that's perfectly fine too. Like, you know, some of that stuff's worth when you see other stocks that are similar to it kind of going nuts. I don't know why, but in my head, I don't know why, and I'm not going to sing what song it is. I'm pretty sure it's Britney Spears is playing in my head. Oh yeah, it's Oops, I Did It Again. Oops, I Did It Again keeps playing in my head over and over right now. I don't know why. Something with my ADHD or something. Wait, I got in an Nvidia call at about 8 something. What do you think? Be quick to make your money with these types of moves. This makes sense, guys, okay? At least now, at least you guys have like 1 or 2 reasons to take a trade here, right? You're coming down into a very, 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 very important level. Maybe that's a good reason for you to think this is going to get some kind of bounce. I would say take profit on this bounce. Don't try to make $1 million. Try to make 10, try to make a good amount for your portfolio. Look for the next trade. Then you see it beat down, make another one. But you're testing the weekly expected move here as well. We broke below 841. We don't want to lose that. Good chance we bounce from here, but does this just fail? That's what you have to pay attention to. Negative territory, we can see if it goes up to that center line and curls over. If we go up to that center line, curl over, boom, we're going to see more downside, most likely taking out that level. So, it makes sense. Bounce today. Can't really say today, but by the end of the week, you could probably head up towards like 930. By the end of the week, that's like as high as you could really go, I think. Somewhere up to this level. Like 930 is as high as I think you could go for this week. I'd pay attention if we get excited outside of that. You could just DJ song titles in our DJ song titles. Okay, what's popping up in my head right now? A lot of Blink-182 just popped in my head. You know, it just popped in my head too. Is it Evanescence who sings like "In Your Head"? That one. I didn't sing long enough. I don't think it caught it. Dangerous time to trade. Hedge your bets and trade like water. This could get brutal in the next few weeks. Adjust your long-term account. Very, very good. Very, very good. I like all that. TLT, something I did to adjust my long-term account was invest in TLT at that 82.50. I don't think you were here, Spin One Master. I don't think you were here when we were talking about this, but way back here, we were talking about going towards 82.50. Boom, we touched that area. I got my buy to go in, and boom, order filled. Boom. So that's what I'm holding long-term. I don't see this ending right. Right? And I think we're going to be forced to cut, which means TLT is going to probably skyrocket here. Volatility still holding at higher levels. Remember that hourly that was crossing up? Wasn't able to see the most positivity there. Zombie, you're right. I think that AI stocks... I haven't done it, like, I haven't dug into any numbers or anything. I like to look at what charts look like before and things like that, but I know it could go either way. I would say, right, they had trouble with the Taiwan stuff. They had trouble in China, very important area. Be careful with that. Even if they report good earnings or something, what if they report something to do with inflation, supply issues, anything like that can worry people. I would just say that if we're still going higher by that time, which looks kind of likely based on TLT, could be bad. So bear flag on NVIDIA very well could happen. Remember, you still have to, even taking calls here, be aware of what can happen. We can flag up, break below this level. Once you start to hold below that weekly expected move, you could see something crazy happen. So you kind of got to be like, remember that one time a couple weeks ago, Meta came outside of its weekly expected move very early on in the week, and we were like, Meta's telling you that we're most likely going to see a bounce from Meta from here because it doesn't want to break through this level. NVIDIA's telling you that as of right now, but yeah, you're right. This does not look very vertical at this point on a 15-minute or a 30-minute, so it doesn't really look like a V shape yet. So we'll have to see if we want to break through this level. Yes, that's what I said like 20 minutes ago. I said I think NVIDIA will head extremely down because it'll be the dot-com bubble, and we're going to see a lot of stuff go out of business, and then we'll be left with the actual people, the ones that are important. And I believe the same thing will happen with Bitcoin and all the other coins. I think those will do the same thing, where you'll see the Shiba Inus go away, lose a bunch of value. You see all these ones lose a ton of value, and Bitcoin will be left standing. Took a call on Apple. Okay, Apple here starting to create this barely a higher low on the 15-minute, but you guys know I like this 2 hour. If this 2 hour crosses up, I could definitely see. I don't think your analysis on this is probably pretty good then. You've been paying attention to what we've been mentioning. Divergence all across here. Divergence across here. You got the double bottom now on the daily scale, and you were still positive. I mean, not positive territory, but you're still green on the histogram for the MACD, which means that momentum has a good shot to go up. You just don't want that to roll down. At this point, though, rejecting off the 5, you want to get above that 5, I'd say, by end of day. So I can get above the 5 by end of day. That'd be a good sign for Apple. Things are looking scary on 2-hour charts. It's very, very true. It depends on what you look at, but Amazon 2-hour chart starting to cross over. Doesn't look pretty. NVIDIA already did this, but it's down at its weekly range. 2 hours very negative at this point. AMD, well, look at this. AMD, maybe this is one you want to look at. This is a trade setup that could possibly be there if we see some positivity. Well, you could get some good news, maybe create this 2-hour divergence goes up, cross on the daily, see if that's able to give you some kind of bigger bounce here. That's what I would say about AMD right now. Now, this one wasn't able to fully break down yet. Look at that, the 30 minutes still trickling up towards the center line. So if you cross over, you can see a little bit of a flush in AMD. Its weekly expected move is a little bit lower. Okay, so pay attention to that going forward. Weekly expected move AMD, you got some room to the downside here. You got like almost 10 points to the downside we could do today. But you're right, Pablo. You are right. Mr. Perfect, the only reason we're interested is because we also have other tools. We have other tools that we can use. So what we have is a very big support at around that 833. And you'll notice we broke down through that, but now we're buying back up. This right here is all the options market expected for NVIDIA this week. So the likelihood of a bounce here is actually pretty high. Now, if we start to lose that level, use it as resistance, we might see some crazy sell-off. So that's why tomorrow is kind of a scary, scary deal. The only thing I'm saying is, everyone's expecting CPI to be hot. What if it's not because TLT is pumping? We're actually seeing those yields look like they want to pull down. What's it at the bottom this week? It's around 833. I won't give you it exactly. Got to be a part of the Patreon. But on the Patreon, you get those every Sunday, so you can have those up on your charts. And I'm thinking about, I need to organize a little bit over here. I'm thinking about making a different watch list with those weekly expected moves on them so we can talk about it every week on Patreon, maybe even before the market opens. Because it does give you a totally different outlook when you have those weekly expected moves up. But I can just tell you, it tested it just now, and now it's buying back up above it. 833 is the level. Too much? Lag effect. So would you say, even just looking at like oil, I don't know how long the lag really is. Maybe you could help me out with that. But we're noticing, if you just look at March, well, from March 1st all the way to March 30th, we actually were at higher levels here. Is this going to take some time to be produced in the data? Is the data going to be cooked? Whatever we want to say about that. Google looks like it needs to pull down, which means maybe this sell the news event happens where CPI comes in as good and people start to unhedge, right? Stop buying gold because inflation's not as much of a problem. We've been just blowing through the areas where I was like, okay, resistance could come. What do? We gap above it. Oh my goodness. Like we've been just blowing to the upside here. Flat divergence on the RSI. AMD is the one that's flagging, though. My goodness. And just to be clear on NVIDIA, I'm not buying calls. I am not messing with NVIDIA. That is not one that I will mess with because when it does flush, it will be very, very quick. So I am in no way getting into that. Apple, I can be a little bit tactical with. NVIDIA, you can lose friggin' 50 points in an hour. Yeah, so daily ranges you can't make daily ranges for individual stocks because there's no expiration every single day. But when there is expiration, I will be putting that out there. The daily expected moves. But we've been giving that out on Fridays. So on Thursday, you actually receive every single Thursday night you receive the daily expected moves for the next day for that Friday close. Yep, and the trend is your friend until it works until it doesn't, right, Ops? So if it does produce a bad number, then it would really cause a sell-off. That's all you got to know. But if you want to go off that assessment, you just want to have a stop in place and be like, hey, it's good every time. Like if that's something you're looking at and you see the signals are good, all right, go for the call. You know what I'm saying? And then just keep a very tight stop, because if we do start to sell off because of a bad CPI, you're noticing that would mean Nvidia's breaking through its weekly expected move. That's where it can really escalate. That's where crashes start to happen, is outside of those moves. You can judge inflation lag at the supermarket, gas, insurance, etc. Well, I know that the supermarket's up a lot. We bought like $200 worth of meat like 2 months ago. We got a good amount. And then, do you have a reference list or just the videos? So the Patreon, if you want, I pinned the weekly expected moves to the top. Willow, what's up? Yeah, I pinned the weekly expected moves to the top. I don't want to put any trade ideas that don't look good right now, because there's a bunch of different ones. So I don't want to put too many ideas out there. I'm just showing you the best one I think is out there is TLT. And then mentioning it today, I'd say Apple looks pretty damn good. But it looks like Amazon wants to drop. So there's too much of a mixed bag for me to do a full video. I think after CPI, we'll start to put out an actual video breaking down some trade setups once we see some price action. Yeah, all our weekly expected moves should be up there. Put them out every Sunday. Yeah, so this is what we were talking about with the Dow double bottom down here. You see the 30-minute divergence. We talked about this, like 40 minutes ago? And we were just stating, hey, yeah, we're coming down to this area. Most likely we create some kind of divergence down here. If we're going to hold up, if we're going to break down, we're going to break this low, right? We're going to take out that low, retest it. If we can't take it back, boom. Going to be a nice buyback rest of day. Very possible. I just tuned in. What caused the flush this morning? If anyone could tell us, I mean, I'm just paying attention to price action at this point. Not trying to confuse myself with any kind of data, anything bad happening, because the market's doing what I expect it to do. Now, I thought it would come a little lower like the Dow did, come down to this area, and then we'd see some kind of double bottom. But holding up, that would be technically a higher low if we see some buying up here. Take out this high. That's a positive trend right there, my friend. But the flush this morning, we had to say we expected it. We said in the video last night, most likely, hey, we're going to come down like this. Then we'll see some kind of bounce. Now we're seeing some kind of bounce. Is that going to be flagging and then we head lower? Or is that going to be a lower or higher low and then we start to head up? That's what we have to see. So got to pay attention to that data. Something looking good. Apple's looking pretty good. If this can actually go positive, I would say it looks very good. Study historical contagion, then factor in machine trading and algos. Then you realize it's tough to pick top. Stay on top of your game. Yeah, that's why trading like water is the best thing, right? We're not necessarily trying to call the exact top. We're calling the points where it could be the top, like that double top signal we saw last week. Good chance for a top. Guess what? We were a part of that good sell-off. The point of doing that type of thing is so you're in the right trade at the right time. And then just one of those times, you're going to experience a huge drop and you're going to make more money that time. That's it. Every other time, you got to treat it as a pullback. It curls back up on the 2 hour. Okay, it's going to be more positive. But if you're able to just pay attention to every time that signal pops up, eventually, first of all, you'll be able to make money on little pullbacks. But the second thing is you will be in the top eventually. It's just nobody can call exactly where the top is. We can pay attention to the points where that top is possible. Right now is still one of those times. We still have that triple top up here. Still one of those times, negative trend at this moment. But if this 2 hour just curls up, guess what? We're going to go to another point higher. Does that just do this? And then we create a divergence point between all these highs. That's what we'll pay attention to in the future. And then maybe this is the point where we'll have to say there's potential here for a big drop. Big drop down, maybe head and shoulders form, something like that could happen. So we just want to pay attention, trade like water, right? Triple top, took this, good trade here. Now it buys back up. Let's see that happen. See what happens from there. Boom, boom, boom. How's Tesla doing? We haven't checked in on Tesla. Tesla fading fast. Remember, 30-minute divergence here outside of the weekly expected move. Good trade setup here. Good trade setup here. Double top forming. But will that just push down? We have to pay attention to CPI. You have too many things that are different. You have too many things that are testing the top side range, testing the bottom side range, TLT looking like it wants to go up, push those yields down. So that's leading me to believe, hey, maybe CPI is cooked, right? They cooked the numbers again. And now we're going to see Tesla, will that actually make a higher move? And SMCI, that one reacting from this area here, I felt was very important. You have flatness of the MACD down here, little tiny divergence right there. On the MACD and RSI at the same time, little tiny one right here. So pay attention to that. You can get some kind of reaction. Is that just a retest to head lower? Well, then if it is, 30-minute pops up, goes up towards that center line, and then we see that curl back down. So we see this happen, and then we curl back down. Guess what? This thing is most likely going to test this lower, go make a new one at that point. You're in negative territory. But this is an area where SMCI really needs to bounce. Yeah, Alejandro, it's just a time be like a little cautious both ways. Even I would respect anyone that's just like, I'm staying out of the madness today, and I'm gonna go look at just watch the craziness until tomorrow, where I actually get some direction. Short-term trades right now, very, very good. Good job with the Qs. Seeing that just cross down on this MACD for a brief moment here. Well, this one wasn't as pretty. The SPY actually looked better. It gave you that crossing in negative territory. Actually, at this bar here, you were crossing over. At this bar here, crossing over. Take a little chance here. Boom, flushes down. Get out at that daily expected move. Solid play there. So that's something to pay attention to. Apple seeing some strength here. Up 0.39 now. So really just want to see 2 hour. Can that curl up? You have 2 hours to see if Apple's going to confirm this divergence and say, hey, this momentum is about to shift the other direction. That's what I'd pay attention to there. So we'll just give like a little breakdown of all the stocks that we do cover on this channel, okay? So right now you're just seeing to the upside. Does the 2 hour gain some support at this level, hitting that daily range? Does it gain some support to head higher? Is CPI going to be a good print? That's something to pay attention to, just because TLT is seeing a strong move. We have a bunch of 2 hour divergences here. We can see that move upward. Daily can start to move up as well. I'm tired. I was doing great. Up and get out. Yeah, that happens. It'll happen. It happens. Just refresh and go back into it. All right. Now this is starting to head up. So that would mean that those yields are looking like they want to come down according to TLT. Doesn't have to happen, but that would make sense. If we see the SPY start to bounce from this level, we're starting to bounce from this level. So what do we want to do? Well, 30-minute. Could we have been in this trade? Yes, right here, actually. 518.89, good point to get in. See that break. Now you can hold for a little bit. Hold till the daily expected move, the downside that is, because that direction was chosen, right? Negative territory. Now you're seeing us hold up right by positive territory. So if we see that positivity continue, good shot, we're going to go higher. But you want to pay attention to the data. So we're going to put out those daily expected moves. They've been very, very good to us. Qs, similar thing. Not the best trade setup, though, to take the downside. Wasn't able to hit the daily expected move. So the Q's able to hold up just a little bit better here, actually. So we're seeing if we can carve out some kind of higher low. Now you have this bundle in here. So if we react to something like this, we could do something like that in order to head higher here. That's what I'd pay attention to for the Qs, but you can just look at a 2 hour. That curls up. Positive territory is what you want to get to see some real strength. And I'll look at GME in a moment. IWM, remember, this was a good trade setup, 30-minute divergence down here. Able to go positive at that point. Curling over, so not the best sign, but I did point out, hey, what if this is a kind of a neckline here, left head, and we go create that right shoulder? We set that up in this area. Now that's starting to happen. So we can pay attention to a break of this level. That would be good news. See if that 2 hour can fully go up to these levels, go positive, and then we see some kind of divergence soon. That's what I would pay attention to for IWM. Small caps might catch a bid. Apple looks like a great trade. It really does. First, I just want to start off on the daily. So even the daily, you're not seeing divergence or anything, but this MACD hasn't been able to roll over. It's telling you the momentum is shifting this way, but you want that to see if it can roll down. If this rolls down, you're going to see lower prices. But as it is rolling up, I just want to point out there is divergence here, right? You do have this and you have it on the RSI, not necessarily MACD at the same time, but you have it on RSI. If you can get that to bounce here, really confirm that on the RSI, that'd be great. 2 hour divergences across the way here, across here, across here, here. So you have a bunch of divergences here telling you the momentum to the downside's dead. If I get a little bit of good news, or maybe just as expected news with the CPI, maybe this rips. It really tells you actually, Apple, I believe, wants to head up towards 175 if we get some good news. Tesla, this one we kind of just talked about, but you're noticing the double bottom divergence down here, the divergence in the near price action on the 2 hour, getting that bounce, but we're getting outside of the weekly expected move. So I want to go into my 30-minute chart and just say, hey, there's divergence up here on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So you have slightly downward divergence on the MACD, downward divergence on the RSI here. So that's just telling you, hey, my momentum's dying out a little bit. I might need some kind of pullback. Or this is telling you it could reverse. You just want to see if that's actually going negative for Tesla. Amazon, this one's been just, like I said, this thing's momentum is just dead. And you're seeing almost like zombie buying, right? It's just going like this, creating tons of divergences, right? So paying attention to the daily scale, it did curl up on this MACD for a few days now. I would really pay attention for when Amazon confirms this divergence to the downside. That would be pretty telling. It would, for the momentum side of things, another point where it was kind of trickling up, dying down, getting closer to negative territory. Now would be a moment to pay attention, but maybe that trickling up happens all the way until earnings. We'd have to see. NVIDIA, this one we're paying attention to, you gotta pay attention to it on a daily scale. You're closing below the 20, not the best place to be trying to catch an upward move, but it's still in a positive trend on the daily scale. Even though you're rolling over, notice this, MACD, positive trend. If that just rolls up, we can see positivity. So I want to see 2 hour. Okay, this thing, it's not too far away. It could get positive, but maybe I want that to fully go positive before I get into any kind of move. So I wanted you to just pay attention, 30-minute, right? This is what we were looking at this morning. This is what we stated is most likely to happen. We come down on the 30-minute. We test that bottom side weekly expected move, and we see that bounce up. Above 100 likes. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Corey, for egging people on. Now we want to see 30-minute needs to go positive. Right now you're stuck in a negative trend. So if this 30-minute builds up to the center line, crosses over, what happens every single time? We build up to the center line, we cross over. Uh-oh. Build up to the center line, cross over. Uh-oh. So you want to pay attention to if this can actually go into a positive trend. That would be very telling for NVIDIA, but very telling from NVIDIA to say, I'm at my weekly expected move. This is all the options market priced in, right? Even a little bit higher than that, actually. This is all the options market priced in for NVIDIA this week to the downside. So you'd have to say the likelihood for a bounce here is pretty damn good. AMD, a little less likely to bounce, but it's holding up at higher levels. Wasn't able to go grab that divergence or anything, but a good shot for a bounce here. And I just wanted to show you 2 hour just to show you this trade. It looks pretty damn good. It does. It looks like the momentum could die out and we could be holding up at higher levels. Okay, remember AMD testing the 50. AMD might, or actually it's below the 50, I'm sorry. But AMD was not able to hold above all these moving averages. They're all crossing each other. It looks ugly, but what a trap this would be, right? It looks ugly. It doesn't look pretty anymore. Negative territory on the MACD, not in a positive trend anymore. And then it just bounces. That would really fake some people out. Meta, this thing curling over, about to confirm a daily divergence. That is very, very bad. Very, very bad to confirm a daily divergence like right before a big event because the momentum is really dead at that point. So what I wanted to do was actually just say 30-minute because the 30 minutes really, really close to the center line. Okay, the 30-minute close to the center line. We were doing kind of what we mentioned before all of this selling happened. Double top in here, 15-minute divergence up in here. But What if they were just doing something very cheeky? A lot of people would start to say double top once this is broken. So that breaks. People probably piled on some puts right here. And then what do? We buy back above that level and we unconfirm it. Now we're close to the center line. We could curl up, positive territory. What if we just start to head up from here? And then we can pay attention to our weekly expected moves over on Patreon. Microsoft, this one, little wonky on the 30-minute, kind of just right at the center line, trying to decide which way to go. 2 hour was able to cross. So now we have to see if that goes negative, you're probably taking out this structure here, right? You're taking out this wedge and starting to head lower. So if this wants to head higher and create that divergence up in here, sorry, excuse me. That's what I'm kind of leaning towards at this point. I think we could see one more big fake out. This divergence here treated us really well. So let's see, maybe we get even tighter in this wedge and we start to head up from here. Maybe we even see two moves. Maybe we see something like this create that divergence up here. And then the waterfall selling comes in like we experienced last week. That's the selling that could continue. Google, this one heading higher. This one looks, momentum's dead. That's what it looks like to me. 2 hour divergence up here all the way across all this. You have that daily divergence across here. If you start to head down from here, it's going to look really ugly for Google. So that's why it is a interesting but confusing market at this point, because you have things like Apple, Tesla gaining some strength, Apple looking like it needs a bounce, Google looking like it wants to tear down, Nvidia looking like it's going to bounce, AMD looking like it's going to bounce, but Google, Amazon, Meta, they all don't look the best. Yes, and gold, I think if you really got to pay attention, gold's going to react based on CPI, so be a little careful with that. What was it? GME. Let's check GME, and then we're going to look at volatility for a moment. I type E? Yeah, I did. Oh, God, yeah. Okay, so I actually looked at GameStop this morning for anything. I think this just looks ugly, and it's below the 200 over and over again. Okay, so what we could do is like show you guys how the 2 hour reacts, right? When we go negative trend, let's look for a good area here where it goes up to the center line. Okay, so this is like a great looking trade right here. When you're below, it's kind of like swing trading below the 200. And if you guys are interested in a swing trading course, I can try to make one. I just don't know how much people enjoy it. You can swing trade on the way up. You can swing trade on the way down. And we're just going to talk about how that happens, right? So we usually see in a negative trend, we build up towards the center line and then we pick that direction. We build up towards the center line. Boom, we get that direction right here. We cross into negative territory. Boom, 15 all the way down to $13. So a little $2 move there, solid trade. It really does come down to tomorrow. I'm just stating, like on Patreon, about, I already gave people this trade setup for TLT, looking like some people might run to safety, but it also could be those yields coming down because of CPI. So I want to be aware of multiple things here, but this trade just looks very, very good. Apple and TLT, I think, look like the better trades right now. But if I was trading this market still in a positive trend, all I have to really do is see if this 2 hour can go positive and then be like, okay, well, what happened the last time we went positive? Well, that was right around this area right here. Boom, we see that rocket move up. So if this goes like this and goes positive, boom, we could get that rocket move up, maybe test the top of the weekly before Friday. If we test the top of the weekly before Friday, that would be very, very, that would be kind of huge because you have some big bank earnings. So glad I averaged down on my Intel position this morning. Holy fam. Intel. Intel not looking the best, but we'll have to see what happens from this guy. Remember, this is one that we were like, hey, just swing trade this on the way down, right? Curl over right around here. If you took a chance on this, negative territory below the 200, swing trade below the 5, take this trade down. Boom, we just see that flush. A little bit, like a little bit more difficult. I like to see almost trades like this are pretty good because you can probably find a 15-minute divergence right here, find an entry point, play that down, see a move from 44 all the way down to 42, take your profit. once that curls back up. So putting on XOM, thing out till CPI for the next trades. Yeah, that's probably a good move. But I just want you to be aware, like 10-year, it did have divergence up here. That's why you see it also over on TLT on like a 2 hour and 30-minute. Just wanted to show you how red this is coming in today. Coming in pretty red. Remember, read into it a little bit, but not fully, because we still need to see those numbers in the morning and see what the FOMC is saying. Oh God, Intel is going to jump on the AI train. All right, guys, but I just wanted to say, remember, I'm going to be going live a little bit longer throughout the rest of the week. So like Thursday or Wednesday, we'll probably go live twice, and then we won't have a Wednesday night video. We're just going to give a breakdown and try to watch the whole close after FOMC minutes. I know it's a bear trap. Talk me out of wanting to go for it. Yeah, you gotta play with your emotions a little bit today, right? Volatility is still above the 200, but we're seeing that fade back down. Right, we were looking for, if we were going to see a pop, maybe this hourly able to go up into this area, see some kind of divergence. And tomorrow I'll be live. I'll try to get on at 8 o'clock. So give the market 30 minutes. I'm going to look at it for 30 minutes, and then we'll talk about it at 8 o'clock. Well, my time. So 30 minutes after we get the data, I'll be live. That's the better way to put it. 30 minutes after the data comes out, I'll be live 30 minutes before open. But I just really wanted to say I appreciate you guys being here. If you guys want to learn this stuff before that bear market comes, because it looks like, I mean, even Spin One Masters tell us some kind of drop's coming. I think we'll get a crash in the form of a bear market, if not some kind of correction, which in a correction, you actually can use my strategy as well down in the course and the link in the description. You can use it. It's down below. You can still use all of the information you learn in that to swing trade and all those kinds of things as well. Just look for those curling up of the MACD and things like that. But I just wanted to say it's a good opportunity to take that before something crazy can happen this week, as we do have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We get all kinds of data, earnings, FOMC minutes. We get a lot of stuff. So look into that if you're interested in learning about this stuff. And if you want those weekly expected moves for every stock that we cover on this channel, go check that link in the description for Patreon. It's very, very good. We're most likely going to put out a Patreon video very, very soon. Oil, I think oil is going to come down. I really do. I just want to say, like, oil, and of course it is coming down right now, I guess, but I just think oil is going to taper back. I think gold will come back a little bit. It looks like they need to digest this move, and then maybe we see something in the future. Maybe that lag effect or something happens in the data, and we don't see a bad CPI print until next month or something like that. Or maybe we go into some kind of war, and then we see those yields have to go higher, and we go through some kind of recession or something like that. We'll have to pay attention. There's a lot going on out there. But you guys are here live every day, so you guys should know exactly what's going on. Nothing surprised us today. Nothing should have surprised us today, right? Because what? We ended up exactly where we thought we would, right at this level here. Now we're seeing some V-shape, but right at this level here is what we expected if this 30-minute crossed over. It did, so we go there. Good trade. And even NVIDIA, nothing too unexpected. We were stating last night, 30-minute divergence conform. You don't necessarily see that on the MACD of flatness on the RSI, so take it with a grain of salt. But weekly expected move. We expect us to come down and maybe test that level, create a divergence. We didn't create the divergence. That's the problem here. But we can get some kind of bounce from this level if it's going to turn over again. Center line, curl down, center line, curl down, take out this low, make a new one. If we're going to go positive, well, then this thing's going to go positive here, and then we're going to see this 2 hour actually be able to roll up. Holy crap. Yeah, and the Iran thing is supposed to happen like today or tomorrow, so be cautious out there. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Thank you for liking, subscribing. You guys are always fan-effing-tastic, and I hope you guys have all the luck in the world with the trading the rest of the day, and I'll see you on YouTube tonight and tomorrow live for CPI and FOMC minutes. Oh my God, it's gonna be insane. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys had some fun today. Hope you guys are out there making money. Stay trading like water, and you will be just fine. All right, have a good day. Peace. CPI's at an hour before open.